let's see what we get. So far it's handling it. Welcome to the Land House YouTube channel. In 2020, I partnered with Langston Alternative Power and I installed a Micro Hydro system. It's a permanent magnet alternator that uses water to spin, and it has sent a lot of power up to my house. But it was my very first attempt at using hydropower, and a lot of the things that I installed did not last very well. So today I want to show you my first attempt at making a housing for this unit, and this is going to be completely remade here today. So what I did was simply used a piece of metal roof and a little wooden box, and there are a couple things that definitely bad with this design. So the metal roof itself worked well to keep things off of here, but my exit for the water to leave the permanent magnet alternator and go down this pipe was not good. So I had a Unisil, which is a really good product, but I mounted that just directly under this unit, and it was producing more water than this 3-inch pipe could handle. So I need to basically have a place for all that water to drop into before it goes off down to the creek over here. So that's one of the first things we're going to do, and need to have a little bit better seal idea because, well, let me show you. If I can get this ball valve to open here. Yeah, hold on one second. This thing is kind of a beast. Yeah, I have to do something about this. It's too much. Hi. Yeah. I guess it doesn't help that it's got 70 psi behind it. I cracked it open just enough so you could see all this water skirting out, and that is not good. Okay, there we go. So yeah, you can see the housing is not airtight at all and needs to be reworked. So let's go ahead and take some measurements here. I believe my box is 9 inches, is that what it was? 10 inch? Let's see. Yeah, so 9 inch by 9 inch there. So I basically want to have all of that metal part right there drop down into a place that will keep it waterproof. So let me show you what I have planned up here at the shop. Let's do one more look at my terrible design. So I had a piece of foam around this little box, and the PMA would sit down on that, and so all I had to capture the water was this Unisil right here, stuck in right there, and then my pipe down here was in that. So basically it was 1.5 inches of catchment area, and it would bog down the system because water would just clog this thing up real quick. So this whole box is going, and we're going to be working with something new. Also, to note, a subscriber of mine sent some electronics here. UL Lane is his name, and so I'm going to be basically taking this little box off here, wiring up a shut-off circuit, and it won't be in here with the turbine, with the PMA. It will be actually mounted off to the side, so should be good and waterproof. So I brought the PMA up here to get basically the dimensions that are needed for this housing, and I was thinking the other housing will eventually rot, made of that wood, so why don't I try this really expensive PVC trim board, and I can use my pocket hole jig to put this together, and that will be the sides of this unit. And then I have got all of this plexiglass over here, and I thought that would make a really awesome lid. So and probably even for the bottom too. We'll see how well it works, but my thoughts are, let's go ahead and make this kind of a two-part build or two-part construction. So the first part will be where this is located. So basically this right here, plus probably another one on top, will be the actual housing, and I'll put that plexi on top. And then it's going to have a second piece that all of this rests on, and that's where it's going to have that drop down into the reservoir, or whatever you want to call it, where it has the exit water going out, and hopefully has plenty of volume that it will allow all this water to drop down and not bog up in here. So Let me do some figuring real quick and I will see what this is going to look like. Alright, I just came up with a couple of sketches of what I think will work. So using my PVC trim boards over here, I'm going to cut two boards that are 20 and 1/8. So they will go from right here and stretch across here, and one of them over here as well. And then I'm going to cut a board in between those that will basically be 9 and 1/8 to connect that. And that's going to be this top portion. Or if you look on this design, it's going to be this board right in here. And that's where the turbine or the PMA is going to sit down on. And then I'm going to build walls up from that and also have a box down below. That looks kind of like this. And that's where it's going to have the clear plexiglass so you can see what's going on. And hopefully we'll be able to get some nice visuals of how the water is falling out of that box. And then I'm going to see about doing a clear top as well. Let's see. Anyway, so that's the plan. Let's go ahead and cut those first 4 boards. That's what the first portion of the box looks like. I've cut this side long and then this side short so they will fit together. And there is approximately 1/4 inch or a little less underneath the box in all sides. So I need to get that connected. I'll probably use some of this StarBond adhesive to get that connected. I've got a thick and a medium to try out. And I'm also going to use the pocket hole jig. So I'll put some holes in it with this, and then we'll be able to use some of these pocket hole screws to get that fastened down. And this portion here, won't worry too much about it being waterproof. The main thing is that the underside is waterproof. But I'm also thinking that in order to keep splash out from happening in here, I will use some of this thin trim like this one right here. And that can be just cut into strips to go right down in here. And it will make sure that this doesn't slosh around, and also will be, the water hopefully won't hit that, come out, come up, come out. So anyway, we'll see how well that's going to work. Okay, it's been a couple of days. I feel like I should apologize for the beginning of this video. I worked a 115-hour stretch of 3rd shift, and I tried to film this video. It did not work out very well. I was pretty well done. So this is what we have so far. I have glued and screwed this portion, and this is where the PMA is just going to rest on. And then I've got these strips here, which I'm going to glue, or I guess caulk down, and then screw those into this portion. And that is where the actual, I guess, prevention of water splashing is going to be. So it'll have just a tiny little rim around here for the water to fall into, and then everything else will be up here. And now I was looking at this box of plexiglass that I have. Let me move this out real quick. So here's what I was thinking. I can cut this at a certain height and then put one of the side pieces in here, and that, or on this side, whichever one, and that'll make a little plexiglass box, and it's about 1.5 feet, or well, I guess 14 inches tall, and that will go up under here in the same kind of manner. I'll cut the little strips out and then have it so that that whole box will sit under here, and it'll essentially let us see what's happening. Watch the water fall down, and then I'll have enough room here to attach my exit pipes to take the water back down to the creek. I think it'll look really cool to have the clear base on it. So that is that. And then, so we still have to build the box that this, I guess we'll have up above here to be the housing. And I was kind of thinking, what if I could find a way to make this part of the plexiglass the lid? So all we have to do to see the turbine spinning is walk up to it, and it'll be spinning inside of there, and hopefully keep enough of the sound down. I don't know. We'll find out. But anyway, so our next step is to bring this back up here, set it into place, and then caulk and screw these little strips down here. Okay, there's the base platform that the PMA is going to sit down into here, like that. It's decently tight. I could have done a little better on a couple of spots here. but we know it's flat, so I'm really hoping that prevents any water from splashing out. If it does, we will work with that as it arises. But there we go, cool. So the next step is to use this big hunk of plexiglass here to create what's going to be up under this. So I can pull this off for now. And what we can do is, I guess, set this aside, but basically I want, just bring it up here real quick. So yeah, this box will be here. So I need to find a good spot to cut this down and then glue another piece on it to finish up that side. And so in the previous version of this whole housing, there wasn't enough area for everything to drop down into, and this will definitely fix that issue. So, and it's a little bit tall. I guess I could, nah, this is the best way, I think. Unless the other side, I cut down like a bit more. Anyway, let me look at it real quick and see what the best option is here. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. I can use the base here, and if I do 10 inches across all the sides, then I will have basically a 10-inch box to work with, and then I can cut another piece out from up here to cap this open side over here. And that way, I'm gonna use two 3-inch of those Unisil, one here, and that will allow two 3-inch pipes to pull the water out of this unit. Hopefully we don't ever have more water than two 3-inch pipes can handle. If we do, I guess we could always add another over on the side to take even more water out, but that's a lot of water. So I think to use the angle grinder would be the best way to cut this in half. Anything that has teeth on it, I'm fearful will break this and we'll lose our clear box. So anyway, I'm going to mark 10 inches all the way around here and then cut this out to have our box. Okay, hopefully the angle grinder is the right tool for this job. I've got the box marked out at 10 inches here. So we're going to cut all three sides of this, and then I will mark out enough space up here to get one more panel, and we'll put that over here. It's a nice clean edge, so it should glue up pretty good. So, all right, let's go ahead and cut this down here. I've got my mask and my goggles and my earplugs, so hopefully we are safe enough for this job. Yeah, it's kind of a yucky mess, isn't it? Anyway, I think it's working. I'll just continue down the line here and hopefully get that first side cut. I got that piece cut out. The process wasn't very pretty, but the end result looks pretty good. So I'm going to be using some of this StarBond adhesive. This is the thick version, and hopefully this will keep us together here pretty good on this housing. And I think I'm going to make a bigger hole here so we can use a lot of this real quick. There we go. All right, so like any good adhesive, just going to apply a good portion of this. I'm not sure what they used to put the rest of this podium together, but it is really good stuff. Okay, looking pretty good there. May have to come back and put a little bit more filler in here because some of my edges weren't quite perfect with that angle grinder. So now I've got a couple of clamps I'm going to use to hopefully keep this together while it's curing. I don't always use a clamp that's too big for a job, but when I do, I use one that's way too big. Anyway, I'll let that box sit probably overnight, to be honest with you, and then we'll come back and finish up the rest of this lower portion. Basically, well, I don't know, we maybe go ahead and work on it some, but I'm going to do the same thing we did up here, except it's going to be on the bottom side, and it'll have to be out some to make sure that this box is going to fit into here and not slide around. I'm actually working with StarBond. They reached out and asked if I would show this in a few of my videos, and I've used it with wood so far. It's worked really well. We're gonna try it here with this plexiglass and see how well it holds. It's an instant adhesive, but I'm gonna go ahead and give this several hours to make sure it is really nice and cured. But if you want to check out StarBond, I have a link in the description down below, and there is a coupon code that will help you to save a little bit of money. We can get one more thing done here while that is curing, and that would be to get the little trim pieces up under here, so this will always stay in a consistent spot. So let's see what we got around the edges. That's 2.5. That's 3. So we can go back this way a little. Over here we got 3.25. 4. So let's come this way some. All right, let me center this up, and then I will just cut the strips. And once again, we'll just use some little screws to hold this into place up under here. And that way, if I need to get into this for some reason, to like clean out silt or something, I can simply just plop this off, and it will be, I guess, compartmentalized so I can adjust things as needed. I just finished up putting these little trim pieces up under here, which will allow the, I guess, top PVC trim portion to connect to here nice and firmly, so it won't slide around. And if I need to clean that out, I can just pull this whole thing off, and hopefully it will be good. So my thoughts are I could actually put a GoPro inside of that and watch the Pelton wheel spin up. Should be really fun. So that's looking really good. We'll let this have overnight to cure, and then we need to pick a side to put those 2 holes in for the unisil. That's going to be frightening, because if it cracks, it will possibly ruin everything. And then after that, we will go ahead and start working on the other top part. So I have lots of the trim boards. My thoughts are I will come back out here with another piece, and then from that I can basically have a top that will just rest down on here. And so I'm doing that because when these are closed, it's just too close to the edge there and it won't work. So I'll have to just come out a little bit, and then that box can just rest on top of that. It also gives a little extra room that I can use some of the closed cell foam over here in this corner that I've got in the top of this. So my thoughts are, if I come out this far with the box, I can have one full layer of that foam going up, and maybe it will help dampen the sound some. I am wanting to have the plexiglass lid over here, so it'll still have some sound. I don't know. We'll just figure it out as we go along, but it is turning out pretty good so far. It's actually been about 3 days. I want to see how our box is doing here. I'm going to remove the clamps. All right, let's see how we did here. Seems to be pretty good. Do you need some help? After 3 days, the caulking is done and the adhesive seems to have worked quite well. There was a slight gap that I filled. Let's see if we can find it here. Yeah, just right there is the main part that needed that caulking, but it seems to be attached nice and secure. So nice. The base of our box is done. Let's go ahead and put some of those unisil in here, and hopefully this thing doesn't crack whenever I am using that hole saw. Now that the box is totally done, I have some 3-inch pipe sections and a couple of these unisil, and that's going to be where the water leaves the box and goes back to the creek. So I'm thinking 2 of them, and I guess I'll put them right here on this side together. And let's see, if I only need one, I can cap the other one off. We'll give that a test. But anyway, let's go ahead and use a hole saw and see what we can do here with getting these in. If it cracks our box, it's going to be super sad, and we'll have to find something else. Some good stuff. It's going to take a while. Didn't take too long. Let's see if I can break free the edge here. Nice. Very good. So I was thinking I could put a small piece of pipe in here and then use a coupling to get that longer piece connected. So if I ever need to disconnect it, I can just pull this one off from the coupling. So let's see if I can get that to seat down in there. It took way more effort than I anticipated. I actually had to use the heat gun to warm this up before I could get this slid in there. But there we go. That is our exit water pipe there. Hopefully that's enough to get the water that'll be coming in here. I figure even if it fills up to like that, it'll flush out. So anyway, okay, so let's move on. We've got this portion here, and I put some marker right there so we can look under here and say, okay, that's the spot where, yeah, that is going to meet up, and it looks pretty good. And so the next thing is to put the PMA back on there, and then I'm thinking that these wider boards here can be cut to basically come out here, and that will be what allows us to have the lid that rests on there. So hopefully we have enough of this material to get that lid done as well. I don't know, have to see. Maybe I should make it out of this and then use this for the lid too, because it has to basically go up high enough and over enough to cover that whole thing. So anyway, we'll just mess around with it. I've also got one more right there I can use. I flipped it over and I have 3 sides done so far. I'm gonna get this last one done here. This is 28.5, so I'm gonna cut that. And I made a mistake, so instead of going straight across, I'm having to cut out little notches to go around here and here. But anyway, 28.5 is my next cut. Yeah, so it would have been easier if I hadn't made the mistake, but I don't have enough of this PVC trim to just cut again, so I'm basically just making my way around that. Okay, I got this done. Let's go ahead and put this up here and see what it looks like. Very cool. So you can definitely see to the bottom, and I think that gives plenty of room here on the sides for the lid to just set down on. Messed up on one little spot right here. I may just put a little bit of caulking in there because I think enough spiders and bugs will get in there to be an issue. But anyway, so now I'm kind of excited to see how well this thing drains. Let's take this down to the creek, even though the lid's not done yet. Hook up the water and get some flow in here and just see it work. I just hiked the lid and the plexiglass down to the water and realized that one of the connectors for the penstock has come loose, and 30 gallons a minute is flowing down the trail. So anyway, I'm back up here. We'll fix all that later. So for now, let's go ahead and build the lid here. So my thoughts are, I've got this piece here, which is 7.5 inch, and then the other boards would get us up to right about here. So basically we'd have, I don't know, 2 inches or so above that, where we can see this spinning inside. And so I just want to make sure that I have plenty of room around here that I can stick some of that foam insulation to hopefully keep this not too loud. I don't know, all that may be pointless, but for now, and also the inlet pipe here, I'm going to just use a hole saw to cut out the 2 inch plus what, a 1/4 inch, anyway, whatever it comes out to be. I'm going to use that to cut out the hole and then probably cut down a little bit. So basically the lid will just set down on this and not have to worry about mice getting in there. Anyway, we'll retrofit something and it'll work out pretty good. Several months have passed while I have been working on the housing for the Micro Hydro system. It's June, middle of June. So let me show you what I've been doing without you. So I've got the hydro turbine is down here. I have managed to get it down in here. It fits really well. And then I have built this box that steps up a couple of times. And then I've got the plexiglass lid that will be able to show us the turbine spinning in here. And all of this sits on this plexiglass box over here. So I can't remember where I was 3 months ago or more whenever I started filming this. But here's where we are today. I've been using this StarBond glue, which has been really awesome. If you've never tried this, you may want to go pick up some. So I was trying to get the plexiglass attached to here, and I used some hinges, and it was cracking, and it's just not going to work well on that. So the plan is to use more of this adhesive with this strip here. I'm going to glue that right there on the edge, and that will allow me to get my hinges attached to that and then down here to get that installed. But anyway, I just wanted to show you this step here because I'm using the StarBond and the accelerator. So basically I'm going to put the glue on here, and then I'm going to spray the accelerator on the plexi, and it will allow me to just stick it up there, and within seconds this thing will be cured and ready to go. So I'm so close. I want to do that with the hinges, and then I'm going to cut some more little strips of this PVC trim to go along here and make sure that the box fits into it and doesn't slide around. So it's almost time for us to go up to the water and see how well this box is going to drain water from the turbine. So that is a much bigger basin than we had before. I did enter into the affiliate program with this StarBond company. They'll give me a couple of pennies if you buy one of these. So let's just see how well this works on this high intensity application, because this thing is kind of heavy and it will be using the hinges on there. So I'm going to make sure I put a good bit of this stuff here. Let's pop the cap on this accelerator. There we go. Put that right up against the edge. I can already feel that it is really making a good tight seal there. Put some clamps up here. Pro tip, open your clamps before you start gluing. There we go. Okay, check this out. I didn't move fast enough, and it only glued every other little blip. You can see right in here. So all this up here is not glued, but StarBond gives you options. So I've got the thin glue, and you put one of these tops on, and then on top of that you put one of these itsy bitsy little cone things, and that allows you to squeeze in glue into the cracks that you may have missed. The housing is 99% done. There's one last thing that I have to do, and that is cut the hole in here, I think on this side, for the exit or entrance pipe of the water. So basically I'll do that once I have the turbine situated. Spoiler alert for the next video, I'm going to have to rework all of this PVC because I did not get my jets in the right spot. I'm going to have to take my jets. I've got everything I need in this box over here. I'm going to lock the jets down first and then plumb everything else around it. So we'll get that situated. But for now, this thing is looking pretty good. I got the hinges on there. I'll probably add a kickstand to this thing to keep it from resting solely on the PVC trim there. But anyway, that'll allow us to access the inside, and then we can close it up and we can see what's going on in there. And then hopefully we'll be able to see the water spill out into the lower portion as well. I brought the base down here that's made out of plexiglass and the first section of the top, and luckily everything matched up really well here, just like the previous wooden box. So the turbine is not replumbed yet, but I'm going to go ahead and test it out just to see if this 3-inch pipe is enough to drain the amount of water that's coming in here. I think it's going to be somewhere around 30 gallons a minute max, so we'll see how well it goes out. I didn't have a 45 to connect these two, so we may have to get that and try this again here in a day or two. But that pipe will head off back to the creek, and we're just going to see how this thing operates. Now, I don't remember turning it off up top, but it's at no pressure, so we will have to go up there on the four-wheeler and see what's going on. I must have just left off the supply up there. I'm up here at the top of the creek where my intake box is. It seems to be doing really well. Now my neighbor's system is pulling air, so it's not turning as well as it should. But let's see if we can clean out this debris real quick. This screen idea I had is self-cleaning pretty good. My inner tube needs to be stuffed back in there, but I'm not sure I can do that without pulling everything apart. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up this valve that I had turned off and hadn't remembered. So we're not dealing with a lot of water this time of year. We've got whatever that is coming out and this little bit that's overflowing. So we'll have to use the jets sparingly. That should pull that water all out of there. All right, we are in business. Let's walk back down to the four-wheeler. Back down here at the turbine, looks like the pressure is starting to go back up slowly. We're at like 5 right now. So this thing is super hard to turn on. I don't know why. Hi-ya! Nope. What I've been doing is grabbing one of these pieces of unistrut. Yeah. So I was worried about that right there. It's definitely going to be an issue. So we'll have to put some foam in there. It is cool though down there to be able to see it accumulate. So if I open up more, oh nice. As soon as that starts spinning, it stops squirting out the water there. Cool. I brought the lid down here and then a drill with hole saw. So my plan is now to make a hole big enough for this to fit through, and I think it fits right in there close. So anyway, I may try to keep this piece locked down and remove the turbine to make sure that I can drill the proper hole. So hopefully we can do that real quick. I didn't bring a tripod, so let me do all that and I'll just show you what it looks like. So here's what I've done. I drilled a hole big enough just for the back side of this union to fit through. I think there is still enough room down there that a mouse could find its way through right there. So what I will do is just put some foam in there, make a little moon-shaped foam, put it right in there, maybe even put a piece of tape over it. And that should make this whole housing pretty well mouse resistant, I think. But there's no way that one's going to be getting in there. How cool does that look? Well, we should do a couple of tests. We're up to full pressure now. So I'm thinking that we will do an audio test here and then see if we can open all the valves for a short time just to see if this one exit pipe is enough to drain all of that water. So here we go. Okay, there's one nozzle. It's filling up over here really quick. I think I know what happened. Ah. One of my wires over here, when it gets wet, it's got a short. A subscriber named Workbench Z has sent me a resoldering kit that I will be using soon to get that wire fixed. So you can see it's locked down there. Yeah, anyway, it's a mess. Well, with that wire touching it, I'm unable to do a proper test of sound, but we can at least open up all the valves and get a flow test. So I think we had 3 at 3/16 and 1 at 1/4. So that should produce a lot of water down here. Let's see what we get. So far it's handling it. Now it's filling up some in here. I think we've made success with that extra large box there. Nice. All right, let's shut it down. Well, now we know that our box is big enough to drain all the water that we can throw at it. I purchased a 45, and that fits well here on the pipe that will take the water back down to the creek. Had to move it over just a little bit, but it's doing pretty good. This video has been a long time in the making for me. Hopefully you've enjoyed what I've built here. I think it's turned out pretty good. So in the next video on this unit, I'm going to be taking it up to the shop. I'm going to pull things apart and see if I can't resolder the wire that is loose. So before it gets wet, it spins fine until, so I found it's this end wire over here. So it's all locked down, but if I can get this touched in the right spot, it will work properly. So if I can get this off, or at least remove the housing down here, I can get to those wires and resolder everything and put some of that shrink wrap around to hopefully prevent it from getting wet. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have some ideas about my box here that I could improve, leave those in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe for more hydro content. I've got some foam that I was considering putting around this box if it's too loud, but it seemed quite quiet on that first jet for the couple of seconds that it ran. So hopefully we'll have a nice quiet system here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.